64 boy.
Scratch.
Dressing the culture, I'm adjusting the culture, huh? Adjusting the culture, I'm adjusting the culture, huh? Dressing the culture, I'm adjusting the culture, huh? Dressing the culture, I'm adjusting the culture. We gon' talk about it. Come adjust the culture, we gon' talk about it. Come adjust the culture, we gon' talk about it. Come adjust the culture, we gon' talk about it. Come and adjust the culture, huh? Brick by brick, you get your boy Big Wall, and you already know the vibes. I'm here with my partner in crime, the big homie Pstock. What's going on with you, P?
Hey, not Big Wall. This is Pstock, y'all. Hey, another great show. You know, this is the holidays are over. Everybody's been digesting all the FMA we've been giving them on Address the Culture, and they love it. You know, so we definitely love the vibes we're catching, you know, and we love the energy that's being produced from these shows.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it's great that we have another great show tonight, and we have some more FMA and masters and grandmasters to discuss the culture. You know, the week, you know, this past week was the holiday, like I said, and you know, everybody sat around. You know, everything keeps moving, so we're 1 week away from the Legacy 8.
1 week away. 5 days to be exact.
1 week away.
Yes.
Next Saturday it's gonna be on. You know, this time next Saturday we'll be talking about how much fun we had.
Yes.
But let's bring him on. We got Grandmaster Darren Tabon. He's gonna kick it off and let us know who we have going with us tonight. You know, and discuss the FMA and their path and journey and that culture. You know, so we gonna talk about it.
What's going on, man?
How's it going, brother? Big Wall, Pstock.
What's going on?
Alud 19, Sultan Uddin, big shout out. Thank you for this opportunity for the third time, addressing the culture, introducing all of the headliners of Legacy 8, honoring the Grandmasters of Filipino martial arts, and it's coming up next Saturday. It's going to be a blast. I hope all of you can make it on out there, but we got some great guests here today, fantastic people with interesting histories that they're going to share with you on this fabulous show. Address the Culture, iHipHopTV. Yes. I'm excited.
Now, kind of speak to that a little bit, because I know, like we said, in 5 days, everybody will be able to see and experience this great event. So just speak about, you know, how you feel about it coming up, the energy, you know what I'm saying, that everybody has just surrounding this whole event.
Well, the power of Legacy is all of us coming together, honoring the Grandmasters, our teachers, okay, the ones that taught us our skill levels. And, you know, speaking of the late Grandmaster Angel Cabales, He passed away in 1991, March 3rd. So for a man to be gone for 30 plus years and for his legacy to be where it's at today, all over the world, people that are teaching their students, their kids, the art that he passed down to all of us. So when I've talked to several other Filipino grandmasters and masters, and I told them what the first show was about, they could relate, bro, on how important. Because what you got to realize is, looking back at the late Grandmaster Angel Caballas, how much footage did that man actually leave behind for people to watch and enjoy? There really isn't a lot of footage out there for him. There is footage, maybe a lot of folks won't share, but what's available on YouTube or Facebook is very minimal for the amount of knowledge that he really had, but he kept it coveted, okay? He really kept his art coveted for select students, and he does have students, but when you look at the Serrata Eskrima teachers today, there's probably maybe 7 active, you know, and out of all the master students that he gave master's degrees to, I think there's probably only 4 really active out there teaching Serrata Eskrima. So when you talk to all the other different teachers out there, they kind of feel the same way about their teachers of what actual footage is left behind by them versus his students that were taught the complete system. And where is that art today? And I think what Legacy did is created an opportunity to let people know where they're at, who their GMs were, and document this on Legacy. So it's become really personal to a lot of us, and we understand the significance of it all, okay? If you don't teach an art and you die, what happens to that art?
Yes,
it dies.
It dies with you.
Yeah.
You see? So what we've had the opportunity to do is document a lot of these first generation of these teachers and let them give a breakdown, you know, of their art, their oral history, their art, teach the class, catch it all on film. So when you come to Legacy 8, whatever each teacher offers you, you're going to get that videotape and you're never going to forget it. It's film. So you can go back, okay, and look at what was taught, and you have that with you. Where, you know, I can't tell you how many times I've done seminars, especially in the mid-90s, where I allowed no filming at all. If you wanted to get knowledge from me, you learned it, but I would not allow nobody to film me. Now today, with all the volume series that I have filmed, you know, I was told, okay, it was from Valma Jelinek, EM3, and Jose Fraguas. They told me, Darren, I know you want to covet your art. I know it's sentimental to you. But what's going to happen, okay, if you never document your art and your students never want to teach, or what if you die with it? That art's going to be gone, at least from your perspective, on how you learn and how you train Kabbalah Serrata under your late Grandmaster. So in talking to all the various Escrimadores, this is the exact same story I told them on conference lines, even speaking with Grandmasters in Hawaii. So as the trailers went out of EM3 and availability, you know, through YouTube and Facebook, I think people really started recognizing what was going on. Okay, yes, we're honoring our grandmasters, but at the same time, we're documenting the movements we learned from our grandmasters. And it was just a big community of people like-minded that we truly cared about preserving this art and sharing this art. So, you know, here we are with Legacy 8. And, you know, and speaking with Brother Sultanuddin, Alud 19, he understood that, you know, and he appreciated it. And he created this opportunity for me to promote Legacy 8, honoring the Grandmasters of FMA. And I had an opportunity to meet you guys, okay?
Big
Stop,
shout out
dude.
to
Wow.
Holiday
Oh
19.
yeah.
Big shout
Yeah.
out.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Absolutely. No
And,
problem, man.
Enjoy these great instructors I pulled on for this
Yes.
third show.
Yeah.
And they're all unique people, unique histories. And I think you're going to really enjoy these folks right here.
Absolutely.
I know a lot of them personally for many years, you know, and
Yeah.
hey, good people, man. Good people.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
great. That's great. That's what makes the shows great.
That's
Yeah.
it, bro.
Yeah.
That's it.
And fun. And fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So what we gonna do? Let's get right into it. You know what I mean? You spoke so highly of them. We gonna bring them in. Let's start. We gonna start with the ladies first. We gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? We gonna kick it off right. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So we gonna bring these ultimate, these amazing masters and teachers to come in and explain themselves like we doing on our third series, and we finna get it going. You know what I mean? Let's start it off. You know what I mean?
Graciela.
Grandmaster Graciela Casillas. Understand her uniqueness early on, I believe the mid 80s.
Yes, early to mid 80s.
Mid 80s, but she's also a former world champion, I believe.
Right.
Kickboxing and boxing.
And stick fighting.
And stick fighting. Okay.
Don't forget the stick fight.
Don't forget the stick fight. That's the most recent.
Yeah.
JCAT and then GSBA.
Yes. Fantastic. Congratulations on that win.
Thank you. Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you for having me on here.
No problem. No problem.
This is great.
Yeah.
So if there's any questions you'd like to ask GM Graciela Casillas, go for it, guys. I haven't seen Graciela Casillas, I believe, since 89 or 90, and that was in the kitchen of the late Grandmaster Angel Caballas.
Yeah.
Okay, and she was there with the late GM Cliff Stewart at that time, and he was a phenomenal man too. I believe he was a co-founder of BKF.
Yes.
Rich history, strong organizing man he was, and a great martial artist, as well as he also was part of executive protection, right?
Right. He had his own executive protection company.
Yeah.
Those were the good old days when we used to drive from LA to Stockton, and I would say, Cliff, what are you doing this weekend? Would you come with me? And he was always very gracious and would make the drive with me to Stockton to train with Grandmaster Angel Caballas. And those were the days where we worked out in his living room, and it was just an incredible time and very, very meaningful memories for me.
Yes. I can imagine. So just talk to us about how you got your start and your journey, because you done had some major accomplishments. You know what I mean? And we want to kind of talk about it all. So just tell us your journey and how you got to the heights that you've reached.
Yeah.
Well, as some of you know, I've been on the planet for a very long time, and I'm sure that you don't have that much time. So let me give you the quick. I started in the martial arts when I was 3 years old.
Like me.
Like you. And in Taekwondo, and then quickly went into Hwarangdo and Korean arts, and then wanted to be a fighter. And those were the days where we just had full contact karate. We didn't have there wasn't UFC, there wasn't kickbox, it was called kickboxing. And so at that time I'd been fighting for a while, and I was basically winning all my fights, but I was also kind of, I don't want to say getting my butt kicked, but when I left the ring, you wondered who really won the fight. So a friend of mine said, hey, I know somebody that could really help you with angles, better footwork, because I was basically a slugger, and introduced me to Danny Inosanto, and that was in 1980. And I already had 2 world titles, but I would take a beating in boxing and kickboxing. And so I started in the Filipino martial arts in 1980. I was just a youngin', and then really young world champion. And I fell in love with the Filipino martial arts, even though I was there because I wanted to enhance my fighting skills.
Mhm.
I just heard the sticks, saw the sticks. I'd never worked with weaponry, and just fell in love with. I just knew this is it for me. This is my art. This is it.
Yeah.
And even though I continued fighting for another 6 years off and on, there wasn't a lot of action for women in those days. I felt like being introduced to Eskrima, Kali, Arnis, call it what you'd like, really enhanced my fighting skills. But then I got to a point where now I was teaching more publicly, and I thought I was introduced briefly to Grandmaster Angel Cabales through Guru Dan, and I just love the art. What I loved about it was the close quarter. As a professional fighter, I was an inside fighter. I was a slugger. I was 5'3", standing really straight, and oftentimes my opponents were a lot taller than me. So that was my initial fascination with Serrata Eskrima, because it was so explosive. It was a shorter stick. It was more close quarter. And that was the beginning of my journey with Serrata. And so I started training, driving to Stockton. The first time I flew to Stockton, I thought, this is crazy. I'm going to drive up. I lived in Los Angeles at the time and continued to train. And from then on, I've stayed, with the Filipino martial arts. Eventually, I moved out of state, so I ended up training with different instructors, with Bobby Taboada, and because I was living East Coast, and or I should say more like South, West Virginia, and have always continued. Eventually, years later, Alfredo Bandalan approached me, and I ended up, I wasn't doing a whole lot with the Filipino martial arts. I was kind of in a funk. Those of us that have been in the martial arts over 40 years, like myself, you know that you go, there's ups and downs. You're just really passionate about it. Then, it's called kids, marriage, divorce, you name it.
Yes.
And you kind of go through a slump, and I wasn't really doing anything. And I was living in Oxnard back in the Southern California 20 years later. And I get this call from Guru Bandalan, who says, hey, we're doing a tournament in your town. Come now. We need to talk to you. And that was in, 2006. And talked me into training. So I started driving up to Gilroy, driving to Northern California again, and training, and eventually fought with Wakeaf at the time. Wakeaf was one organization, and became a world champion sick fighting in my division. You know how that works.
Yes.
And I've continued to just be passionate about the Filipino martial arts. I love the training. I love the system, and it will always be a big part of me, even if I do branch off into other areas.
Wow. That's a rich history, especially being in West Virginia. How was that? I know that was I lived in West Virginia briefly too.
Well, you did? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I do understand that, but to take that and now with everything, because it sounds to me like you blazed the trail to what the female MMA and UFC is today. You was doing it. So how do you like how far it's come today, and how far would you like to see it go?
I think it's amazing that women's combative sports have evolved to the level that they have. When I was fighting, fights were few and far between. Nothing really existed from weight divisions. I mean, I went to Hong Kong, and I ended up, when I fought in Hong Kong, I probably spotted her close to 25 pounds. It was either, well, then don't fight if you're not going to. If you go, wait a minute, what happened in weight divisions? Not out there. So we just took whatever was thrown at us because they didn't care. It was like, either you fight or, hey, we don't care if you fight. So what? And so you took the fight, because you don't go to Hong Kong and then just not fight. You just sit around eating Chinese food. So I took the fight. And so today, to see how organized it is, and a couple months ago, I was inducted into the International Women's Hall of Fame. And when I was there, I thought, okay, it's been a long time. It's about time they realized I was around. But 47 years later, but I was appreciative of it. And what I was so impressed with is the caliber of women. You have to understand, when I was training and coming up in the ranks, most women did not have access to trainers. I was really lucky that I teamed up with, with the right trainer, who happened to have a large stable, the biggest stable in the world at the time. And I was training with, fighters, male fighters that were rated in the top 10 in the world, including Hector Macho Camacho is one of my stablemates for a while and helped me get ready for the last fight. But most women didn't at that time. So today I look at them and I'm saying, I'm kind of glad I retired. But maybe if I would have come up during this era, I would be right there with them. But it was a different world.
Right. It sounds to me like you was fighting the real blood sports, over in Hong Kong and everything.
Well,
it was the real McCoy fights. It's not more like it is today,
No, and in Hong Kong when we fought, they wouldn't let us wear boxing gloves. Some of you must probably know Don the Dragon Wilson, Benny Urquidez. Those were some of the, and we all went, and they didn't want to let us wear boxing gloves, so we wore the little like kind of equivalent to what UFC wears today, but less padding.
Yeah.
They wanted to be able to trap and do all this stuff. And
all right now, I see you.
Yeah.
And so we had nothing on except these little small bag gloves, and that's what we fought with. And there was no ropes. So when the guys got kicked flying out of the ring, they would just get thrown back in. It was just the way they did it in Hong Kong at the time. Yeah. That was 1981, so you imagine that.
Yeah.
Wow.
1981. Wow. Yeah. Wow. That was big. So the art has evolved. But I appreciate and understand how you took the FMA and incorporated it into your training, like you said, the close quarters, and tied that in, because in the series we've been meeting a lot of masters and that incorporates all the arts into their systems. Takes a little of that system, and make it their own. And and what you have done, you should have been in the Hall of Fame years ago. 35 and 0.
I was in the Black Belt Hall of Fame years ago, so that meant a lot to me. So
see, that's big too. That's big. We appreciate it.
You kind of spoke about the other areas that your skills and FMA kind of led you into. Can you kind of speak about the other areas that that you reached and different things that you've done because of what you do?
I think that I owe a lot to specifically the Filipino martial arts, because something that's not taught, even though I did get some from boxing, the footwork is really, those of us, all Filipino practitioners, know the importance of the triangle, but not just footwork, but just learning how to really move your body and angle and use those angles. And that's something I didn't have as a fighter. So I feel I owe a lot to the Filipino martial arts in terms of increasing my skills. So the last fights that I had were a lot smoother, a lot easier, because I didn't have that skill prior to 1980, and I'd been fighting for years. And so beyond that, I just, as I said, we go through ups and downs, and I continued always looking for the art, because I wasn't, Grandmaster Cabales was gone, and I wanted to keep evolving myself. And I met Bobby Taboada, who says he believes he's related to Grandmaster Cabales. So you know how they're all connected. And that was, even though it was the 28-inch stick, it was also very explosive. And so I really appreciated that system also. I consider myself a student. I'm always looking for new instructors and people to train with. And but beyond that, I just kind of evolved. I see all martial arts based on range. So it just depends on what the range is, and that's gonna predict, what I'm gonna use in terms of what parts of the system. So, and one of the things at training with Guru Dan that I found challenging was the fact that it was like, what's the flavor of the month? This month we're doing Silat, next month we're doing Savat, next month we're doing JKD. So even though that was, fascinating, to me at the time, it wasn't. The progression was difficult to follow. And so if you put it into the concept of range, what works at each range, it makes life a lot easier. At least it did for me as a practitioner and as an instructor, to be able to teach it that way.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Am I
Oh, man.
lopsided? I feel like my camera's lopsided.
No,
No, you're fine. Yeah, you're good. You're
I
good.
keep trying to move my head because I feel like I'm lopsided.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. So, what about film and Hollywood? Were you able to utilize your martial art background in
So
Hollywood?
I have a funny story. You have to understand times have changed. You know, with the film industry, we're all people of color, so you probably know what I'm talking about. There was a point in time where it wasn't fashionable to be exotic, to have color, and that was the time that I was trying to make my break into the film industry. So I was actually hired to train an actress for a film, Fire in the Night, and about 3 days later into the training, I was approached and said, "Hey, we want you to be the lead." So I ended up being the lead in a film that I had originally been asked to just train the actress, and I did that film, which could have been a great film, but it was kind of one of those films you hope nobody will see. Because somebody mentioned, we talk about Flashdance. It was sort of a take between Karate Kid and Flashdance, but this was again in the mid '80s. So. But yeah, I did that, and I did probably close to 100 talk shows at that time. But I have to say that I wasn't up to the fight. You know, that what it was taking during that era to be successful as a Latina in the film industry, it just wasn't going to happen for me.
Yeah.
And I gave up. I just decided this is not what I want in my life. It would have been great. And if I didn't have the stick-to-itiveness in that industry as I did in the fight world. I kind of stuck through thick and thin through a lot of challenges, a lot of dilemmas that I faced ethically and morally. And because I try to be a person of integrity, I didn't make it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I didn't make it to the level that other women did make it because they were the blonde, blue-eyed, and they just were more marketable than I was.
Yeah.
What about today? Have you considered, taking another stab? If
the opportunity presents itself, I definitely would be interested. It's amazing because when I did that film, if you ever see it, Be Gentle, I had not a single acting class. After the fact, I did take a lot of acting classes, but just kind of went a different direction. I was working on my master's degree. I was I was teaching. The opportunity never presented itself, and I didn't pursue it. So yeah, that's.
Yeah. But you reached so many different heights that it's just amazing what you did, and your story is amazing. And I know people are really excited to see you at this event. You know what I mean? Because like you said, when it comes to females, I know beyond the struggle, just in general, just being a woman in the culture, it wasn't easy to reach the heights that you reached. You know what I mean? So I know it's so motivational just from just being a woman and being able to whoop everybody around you.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of certain things I've accomplished, and one of them is my daytime job was being a professor and academic counselor to college. And one of the things that I did do there was I developed curriculum. So I developed courses that were CSU and UC transferable. One of them was Eskrima, Filipino martial arts.
Wow.
And besides jiu-jitsu, boxing, and kickboxing. And to me, what I was proud of it's that I would show to my class at the beginning of the semester, and where I live in Oxnard, there's a huge Filipino community. And when I would come in and see, 70% Filipino students in my class, and I think, okay, they want to learn from me. I'm not Filipino. I didn't know I'm not Filipino, but I remember training with Guru, Bobby Tabuada, and being in North Carolina, because from West Virginia, it was a quick trip there, and I would fly out there to train with him. And we were all sitting in a restaurant one day, and somebody said something about my culture, and you could hear a pin drop. It was so quiet. It was so quiet, and he said, "What? You're not Filipino?" And I looked around. I looked at everybody, and he was so quiet for so long. I was so scared, and he just started laughing. Those of you who've ever met him know his humor. And I thought he wasn't going to teach me anymore because I wasn't. I said, "Wow, the Spaniards were in your country for quite a while,
You thought it was over with,
huh? There's a connection, right?
There is a connection.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well,
yes, it is.
Glad to have you on glad to have you on the show.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely everybody needs to show up next Saturday. It's going to be a huge event there. Darren set up.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much for having me on here.
No problem. No problem. Well, look, we got a lot more amazing stories to hear, and we're gonna hear them all. But this is an open forum, so when we hear, we're gonna have an open communication as well. But we want everybody to come in and tell their story. So we're gonna bring another.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? No problem. Thank you. You know what I mean? We're gonna keep them rolling. We're gonna bring in, you know what I mean, all of the guests. So, since we're here, we're just gonna bring everybody in. You know what I mean? And have ourselves a good time. You know what I mean?
There you go.
That's man, you chasing it, man.
60 Soul Boy.
Scratch. Dressing the culture, I'm adjusting the culture, huh? Adjusting the culture, I'm adjusting the culture, huh? Adjusting the culture, I'm adjusting the culture, huh? Adjusting the culture, I'm adjusting the culture. We gon' talk about it. Come adjust the culture, we gon' talk about it. Come adjust the
Brick by brick, you get your boy Big Wall.
And Pstock here, you know, for addressing the culture. It's that time.
How you gentlemen doing? So we're gonna let Darren.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome. We're gonna let Darren introduce each of you, and we want to hear you guys' story and tell us how you got started.
We have Mateo Masalonis under the late Grandmaster Ernesto Prisa. We have GM Felix Royles, Bakamut system from the Philippines. He trained under his family, I believe, and several other instructors. I have Pintados Garducci. I believe he comes from Modern Arnis system. Is that correct? Modern Arnis, or
yes,
yes.
But we have also our own system before I joined the group of Presas family.
And I got another Serrata guy sideways right here that I first met. Turn right side, Toss.
He dropped out to fix it.
Yeah, he's another guy. He's another guy that trained with the late Grandmaster Angel Cabalas. And when I first met him back in about 83, 84, he was training then with a gentleman by the name of Anthony Davis, John Wong, several aliases. But that's when I first met him. And I believe I was barely 20 years old when I first met Brother Tossi. But in the last 10 years, Tassialo has been training as angel disciples underneath my organization. And, you know, you got to understand his history, born and raised in Hawaii, and some of the gentlemen that he had lived with, the late Grandmaster Tony Ramos, you know, and so many connections to the Lima Lama system, which is his relatives, a lot of his family. But other than that, that's the other four that are on here today. Tassialo isn't as a headliner, but what he's going to do is support the event. Yeah. And I'd like to bring him on today because he goes so far back, you know, all the way to history. Yes, right. History. Right. Okay. So whoever you would like to,
whoever wants to, who begin? Tassialo, do you want to give the history and then, you know, let us know and we can lead into everyone else. Are you all right?
Mateo Masalonis.
Mateo Masalonis.
Can you hear us, Mateo?
Good evening.
Okay.
I'm honored to be amongst all of you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, man.
Glad to have you.
Glad you're here, brother.
Thank you again. It was technical difficulties on the first one, so thank you again for allowing me back to
no problem. We really want to hear your
meeting
story.
You two, and everyone else here.
Yeah.
Oh, one more time?
Yeah, so tell us all about how do you get your start? You know what I mean? Your whole journey.
I was born in Stockton, California, and I was raised in South Lake Tahoe after I was about a year old. We owned a house in Stockton until I was about 12 years old. I was right next door to the pencil factory off of Port of Stockton. And my dad's best friend that he worked alongside with in the fields, in the fields of asparagus and whatnot, his name was Reginio Illustrissimo, and he, old man, very small old man, and as a lot of houses in Stockton, their front yards and backyards were a bunch of vegetables grown and whatnot, and we would come up and visit. So one time I remember seeing him spinning stick around, and at that time as a young man I was still enamored with Bruce Lee and whatnot. Seeing this old man just gracefully spinning a stick around, and all of a sudden he stops, and I'm like, where's the rope? Where'd the rope go? And I thought they were nunchucks, you know. So I was like, wait a second. He goes, oh, that's nunchuck. Well, this is a screamer. And I'm like, well, what's the screamer? Where's the rope? So that was my first exposure on hand with Filipino martial arts. And then through the years, a cousin of mine, Roy Atay Jr., he's a second generation graduate there in Stockton for the Bahala Hiron system, Stockton #1 club. And he would come up to Tahoe, him and his sister would come up to Tahoe and work in the casinos. And as they were working in the casinos, he'd be training in the back, and I'd be staring at him through the window, watching. And he asked me if I wanted to train. I was like, totally, I totally want to train.
Absolutely.
So nonetheless, he was my first instructor, and it also helped me from being a picked on young Filipino boy up here in the mountains of South Lake Tahoe, where it's predominantly Caucasian. Handfuls of Asians, Hispanics, as well as blacks. So yeah, we're always truly the minority in a white bread town. So after he was my first instructor, and I learned a lot from him. And then after that, I started learning from Grandmaster Rick Manglinong for modern Arnis, press system, Remy press. And he was my instructor for over 16 years. And then Grandmaster Ernesto Presas came to visit South Lake Tahoe and introduced the art of Kobaton, the brother art of the Presas system, and came right along. And I moved up through the ranks there and became an instructor as well. And interestingly enough, Grandmaster Ernesto would have training camps in the Philippines, and we went to one at one time, and at that time we were out and about drinking because class was over, and we were hanging out, and all of a sudden the Lacans, their Pintados Garfi, say they were hanging out, and they said, Grandmaster wants to talk to you. No. What did I do? Oh, I'm going to get kicked out of camp. So, oh man, I really stepped on somebody's toes, and I'm here in the Philippines, which was okay. I had relatives in the Philippines, but I was like, man, on a whole different island in Negros. Like, oh man, I didn't want to disrespect anybody, but nonetheless, he called me over and he asked me to massage him, and I'm like, wait a second. You want me to massage you? I said, yes. I know you do massage, and I want you to massage me. And I'm like, huh. The interesting thing enough with that was I learned hilo, another word for Filipino massage, bone setting, and finding the knots and whatnot. But my mother had taught me that through the years of me as a child. In the Philippines, people who would work in the fields, the rice fields and whatnot, they would sought out the kids who had hot hands, and those who had hot hands and the restless ones who would sit still, they realized those were the ones who had the the gumption to be able to massage you. So my mom started teaching me massage, having me walk on her back at first, and she's a seamstress that would sit behind a sewing machine for 16 hours a day, and obviously your back would be all tight, so she'd have me walk on her back. And when I got too heavy, was when she started to teach me how to use my hands. And through that, I would climb them up and put my mom to sleep. So, so this is the thing. At camp, I was still all nervous, and he asked me to massage our grandmaster, and I go, my gosh, he's trying to calm my nerves. My hands are shaking like crazy when I'm about to put my hands on my grandmaster that's willing for me to try to heal him, and my God, that guy's muscles are rock solid. So I just, centered myself and started massaging him, and after about an hour or so, he was snoring like crazy, and I woke him up and said, "Hey, you need to go to bed now. You're sleeping." And he said to me in Tagalog, "Salamat Mateo, makatutulog na ko." And I said, "Wow, I did my job." So as I came back to the group of everyone, they said, "What happened?" I got kicked out. They're like, "What?" And I go, "No, I'm just kidding. I just asked me to massage him." that was my wonderful experience of hanging out with our Grandmaster Ernesto. And also, that's another time that I also met Pintado Garducia, Oliver Garducia right there. So thank you. And I'm quite honored and humbled to be here amongst all of you. Thank you.
No problem.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for coming through. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, who we got next up to bat, Darren?
GM Phillips Royles. There you are.
Hi, GM. How are you?
Good, brother. I'll see you in about 6 days.
Good to see you
man.
again. I know.
Last time I seen you was Lake C, Hawaii 7. And we had a phenomenal time there. And then COVID hit. And here we coming back, But you have a very unique history too. GM Phillips Royal is, a long-time stick fighter. That's when I first met you at the Carson tournament back in, I believe, 96 or 95. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but
was,
I remember handing you a business card, and then later on, maybe 10, 15 years later, we met again,
Yes.
and the legacy started. And it's been an honor to have you on the legacy all these years. I believe you've been on it at least 6. I think 6, 5 or 6 legacies. I believe.
Yeah, that's very
wow.
So.
Please share with us your history, bro.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
all yours.
Good. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Grandmaster Darren Tibon for allowing me to be with the legacy, honoring the Grandmasters. I think you're right. I've been with the legacy 5 or 6 times already.
Yeah.
And to you also, Pstock and Big Wall or something.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me in your guys' program. And to talk about myself, before I came in this country, 1996, to represent the Philippines, the Philippine team, after I won the 2 World Championship under WCAP, back in the Philippines, the style that I had and I learned from my grandpa was my first instructor. Actually, we are the lineage. Our lineage is from the Datu Lapu-Lapu of the famous icon when it comes to Filipino martial art. Yes. So I born and raised in Cebu, and then I learned we call it the Filipino martial art in general, but the style that I learned from my grandpa is we call it the pakamot in our Visayan Cebuano dialect. So growing up, it's part of our lives. Part of the culture that we have to learn how to use all these things that we have, like utility blades, stakes, and things like that. In our family, it's like kind of mandatory to learn how to defend yourself, because it's different. Living in this developed countries and the third world countries, you're on your own, so you need to know how to protect yourself if in case something somebody attack you, things like that, just to survive. So growing up, when I went to high school, I get involved into boxing, amateur fighting, amateur in school, and after that, I competed also in full contact karate, kickboxing, and then by when they had in the Philippines the first word full contact stick fighting under WICAP. I was really intrigued because a lot of foreigners came to the country and to participate that world championship. So I told myself now that this is the stick fighting is our originally from the Philippines, and I know that I'm good at it, and then I wanna test my skills against those other bigger guys and things like that to prove that what I have is I can prove it to myself. So to make the story short, 1992 I competed and I won overall champion, and I was awarded the best fighter of the tournament, the second world championship. And then 94 I won because week up is every 2 years. 1994 I won again. So 1996 I was given an opportunity to come to this country, US, just to represent the Philippines. That's where I met Grandmaster Darren Tibon in Carson, and since then it's history. I started my own thing, my gym here in Carson. That was 1997, and then Carson, then to LA. So I branched out. I teach so many. I had a lot of students back in the days, and then we competed, and I met all those people that's around with the FMA. I think that they knew me, and even Graciela, I met her like back in the early, I think 1999 or 98. So pretty much Filipino martial is like a community, a small community that
Yes.
we pretty much know each other. So again, the style that I'm going to teach or to show on this coming legacy is gonna it's Saturday, this coming weekend, JM, right?
Yes, this Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, this
Yes.
Saturday. So it's the way I was taught by my grandpa is very simple, so that everybody knew. It's in fact we have videos all over. I mean, Pudo Brothers film on the style that I had, and it's available online through VoodooBrothers.com. So it's there are many I know actually it's like volumes, but the teachings are from beginners, intermediate to advanced, and it covers from the impact weapons, the edge weapon like sword, knives, and hand-to-hand combat. So it's available on VoodooBrothers.com. So again, I would like to say thank you to Grandmaster Darren Tibon, because back in the days I'm not even thinking about spreading the art and continuing it, because it's hard for me being in this country. It's kind of hard for me to do the marketing and things like that. But with the encouragement of Grandmaster Tibon, that Jim Felix, we need to leave a legacy. We need to share our knowledge to younger generation and people who wants to learn, because when we die, everything's gonna be gone. So that's why I was so fortunate with us. I think that's a stepping stones for me, that I able to to spread the words, and I had a lot of invitations when it comes to seminars. In fact, that guy there, Cardosi Pitados, he invited me to his to a big seminar in Canada. So I've been doing seminar here and there, Canada, US, Mexico. So pretty much everywhere. In fact, last week I had a seminar in Las Vegas, Circus. That was last week. And yeah, it's I think Grandmaster Darren Tibon is he's right that we need to continue and share the knowledge that we had, that I learned from my ancestors back home, or else it's gonna lost. And I think that's all.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's huge. As Pstock say, that's really what I love about this culture is the fact that you're willing to teach and that you're willing to grow and that you're willing to pass on the knowledge. You know what I mean? Because it's so easy to lose that. You know what I mean? And the fact that that's a part of the teaching, the fact that you have to teach it and pass it on, that's amazing to me. You know what I mean? Because once you lose the art, you can't get it back. You know what I mean?
That's right.
No.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
And that's all a part of the legacy. And that's why Darren has a Legacy 8. And I think that's a great, great platform, especially for the FMA and all artists to get out there and to get reacquainted with the community.
Yeah.
Yes.
The FMA community.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a great honor to know Grandmaster Darren Tibon. I think he's the one of he's the only one that promoted how to say it. He's welcome to all the styles, whatever styles you have. So everybody's welcome to see what you get, and then it's really good for the people that because they have their own choices. They can choose. They can choose what style they want to train or practice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's big. That's big.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, we thank you for coming. You know what I mean? With all of you guys' knowledge, I know it's going to be a great event. And we want to just keep the train moving. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Darren, introduce our next superstar. You know what I'm talking about?
Next.
That's man, you chasing it, man.
We have Pintado Scarducci and next, but GM Felix, thank you very much, bro. For
it's
sharing.
an honor, GM.
We go way
Thank you so
back, huh? You look at '96; it's a long time ago.
I know.
That's big. That's big.
But the good thing is you still look the same.
No. I wish. Oh man. So Pintado Scarducci, please share with us your history.
Yes.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. And first of all, thank you for having me, especially for our host, the Big Wall and Pstock. So this is my first time to meet you guys. And first and foremost, I also give thanks to Master Ray Cordoba and GM Kuya Alex Franz. Without them to introduce me to GM Darren Tebon, I not be part of the legacy. So
Yes.
I was there in 7. So thank you very much, and of course to GM Kuya Felix and Graciela Castillo Goro. Nice meeting you, and the guy in is not show up. Oh, JM Tasi Alo from
Stockton.
Hawaii.
So
Nice meeting you. And of course, my brother Matthew Masaldones Jr.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you. All right. So my culture, because I'm from Visayan part of Philippines, which is we called it Samar Island. The people there are they called Waray Waray. So in the first place, I learned the Filipino martial art through with my grandfather. Okay, so he is also a fighter back in the days. He fight with the Japanese
Yes.
samurai against stick. And in the first place, Arnis Kali Eskrima that I never heard when I was in my young age. Okay? The term that I heard those weapons that I sent for my grandfather and my father is we called it bakulu. Bakulu or kulata. Okay? So maybe GM Kuya Felix Ruelis, he know this term.
yes.
Okay, so there is no such Arnis Eskrima when I was young, when I was childhood. And again, as now, the famous bearer of the short stick, which is the Kabbalah system, I respect that. But in my age, I carried 24 inches of stick because the history behind that, I can go in the public, then nobody recognized that I have my stick with me. That's the story behind that. And that's the stick was I was grew up. So right now, even I'm already teaching, but I'm still a student. So I have a mentor from the Gardusi clan. So we use actually the 24 inches. And then from my Prisas mentors, we use the 28 up to 30 inches stick. Then now I have the 33 inches, which is from my Bahad Subo mentor under GM Yuli Romo. And with my 45 stick under GM Felix Ginabo. So
Okay,
that's my
so in this
my
case,
mentors, my
size do matter.
background. 4 different size of stick, and behind that is my secret weapon.
Right.
Okay.
So learning martial art is I think as long as I'm still alive. So
Yeah.
right now I can see us guys. So when you are so being a Filipino martial artist is not you called us like arnisador, kalisador like that. That's only part. But I think Filipino martial arts has a complete system of martial arts. So we call ourselves as a martial artist because we can do everything in Filipino martial arts and everybody knows that. And then as I can see, all practitioners of the Filipino martial arts, they're not getting older. See? Brother Tibon, GM Kuya Felix now. See my brother Matthew, and especially Gracilia. See? Nobody can tell how our age right now.
Right. Right.
We're happy doing
Right.
it, and this is from our heart.
Yeah.
And of course, and being part of this, that's why I said my first teacher. We have our own system from the Gardusi clan, Gardusi family, and when I went to the city, which is the Manila, I'm searching. I went in each places and its instructors. I'm looking for the closest system to the Gardusi system, which is I found it to Ernesto Presas. Then, of course, I was studying as a criminology back in the days. So I need to continue my passion. Then I joined the group of Grandmaster Ernesto Presas that time. And again, I think I get these skills to my father that he learned every time from his mentors, and he always looking forward to upgrade. So meaning, when you teach, when I learn from my mentors, he's looking forward to see how he can beat his teacher in a right way. What I mean is not that he wants to challenge it, but he need to learn, he need to upgrade, he need to evolve. So that is my idea too. So I always difference from the other, but I'm not competing to anyone, and always keep saying, and when I'm teaching, this is what I learned from my mentor, but this is my own understanding now. Look, this is how he do it, but this is my counter. But I am not saying that his system is not effective. No, that is for my mentor, and this is now my own understanding.
Yeah.
All right. Hope everybody understand that, and it will come out this coming December 4th.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
as a being part of a military and a police force. All right.
Yeah.
So for more than like 20 years. So my concept for my teaching now is a combination, and even the way we salute, we give respect. So we combined the military and the traditional for our mentors. So, and again, for me, I'm just sharing like the art to understand.
Yes.
And then everybody they have their different names for the systems, because I believe you can create name. Like for us before, when we was born, you was born already. And then so that we can have our name, we need to baptize. I'm right?
Yeah.
So same thing with the art. The art was baptized. That's why there's a name of it. And in each people who baptized with it, he's the one, he can understand it and he can explain it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's my own understanding.
Yeah.
And I believe these people who practice Filipino martial arts, especially I love everybody and the legacy, because the atmosphere, there is no politics, is everybody embraced like a one family.
Yeah.
So that's why, see, first time I meet brother Darren Table, it was amazing. The people out there in Hawaii, I'm with GM Kuya Felix too. Wow, they embrace us like a part of their family, and it was a very amazing experience with me. That's why even I'm far from away, I'm in Canada, I'm willing to share and I'm willing to travel with you guys. And to share with you, and not only that, not only just to being a popular, but I don't want to be a popular. Same thing with my father. He's not. You cannot see him in YouTube. You cannot see. There's no videos, because these are the old warriors. They train, they hide. Because back in the days, when you go in the public, your technique is not your technique anymore.
Yeah.
Same thing right now.
Yeah.
But same thing with the others. If you hide your skills, the art will gonna die.
Yeah.
But for us, no. We send here wherever we are now, and we continue the legacy of our ancestors.
Yes.
And I believe, I'm not competing to anyone, but anyone can challenge me. I'm ready. But I'm always a student, and no one can take this one from me. I will die for this. And I think that's for me now. My brothers and sisters in Filipino martial arts. It's not only a Filipino martial arts. I know, I believe that Everybody, we're not only learning Filipino martial art, but I think most of us, we carry the Filipino martial arts and it has a big space from our heart.
Yeah.
All right. And
Yeah.
I think any questions so far from you guys
Yeah.
before I
Well said, brother.
You
Well
covered
said.
it all right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially with the
Can't wait to
history
see you again
and
in
the
Oh yeah,
person.
military.
I can wait. I can wait. Actually, I'm preparing already my. I don't want to have a carry luggage right now. It's too complicated. So I just want to have a hand carry with me, and see you
Very
guys
good.
there soon. Yeah, I'm so lucky right now. I have my one of my students, so you can see. Hope we have fun, and you can see the Pintados way. Oh, by the way, so the Pintados actually is for me now, I'm carrying the Pintados in my own understanding. But
Yes.
back in the days, the Pintados are these are the pirate, these are the bandits, these are the people. But of course, there's a bad and there's a good.
Yeah.
Okay, one of my father in a good side, so I'm a good guy and handsome. All right, guys. Thank you very much. This is because nobody asked question, so this is how we respect from my heart. I salute the knowledge and I respect.
All right, brother. All right.
My
Thank you,
man.
Guys,
Chad.
see you soon,
Thank you,
guys.
thank
See
you.
you
It's going to
soon.
be great to see you. You're only
All
6
right, man.
days
Yeah,
away. Yeah.
I'm looking to it. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much.
Great, great,
That's
great
good, man.
knowledge,
That's good.
great
Great.
wisdom. I
Thanks for-
love the energy, and it sounds like you want all the smoke. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
all the smoke. All the smoke. Thanks for addressing the culture.
That's
Letting
a
them
fact.
know where the smoke is. That's right.
Oh, last but not least, brother Darren.
We have Tasialo on board here. You know, when I first met, or when I first came into the school, started coming around the school, is when I first met Tasialo in late Grandmaster Angel Cabala's living room. And, you know, we all started talking, but what connected me to Toss is the fact that he used to play music with my Uncle Sonny, Palabrica.
Okay.
Uncle Sonny from Hawaii, and then he was a musician and martial artist, and he was also the first, one of the first writers for Black Belt magazine. And Tasi was very close friends with Uncle Sonny Palabrica, who was actually one of my teachers too. All the knowledge that he obtained while writing about various martial artists that he had to stay with, okay? People like Gogen Yamaguchi, you know, my Uncle Sonny had to do articles on the Catman, but he had to live with the Catman for quite a while. I believe he lived with them a year or maybe even 2 years, I believe. But in connecting with Tasi at the late Grandmaster Angel Cabales' house, that's where we connected, okay? That's where we connected. And then hearing his story from the island and the people he connected with here, and a lot of his relatives, you know, within the Lima Lama world, Kaji Kempo world, you know, and this is why I wanted Tasialo to come on board this podcast. So he could not only share, you know, his background of Hawaii and how he grew up, but the people he had connected with when he came here.
Yeah.
So, Brother Toss, you know, I know you've been with me about 10 years now training Karate Eskrima, but can you share with us some of your history from Hawaii and the people you connected with in Hawaii and who you connected with here, who are several of the Kaji Kempo people that I know you were really close with? Please share with us, Tasiao. Can you hear Toss?
I don't know if you can hear.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of. I don't know if it's a bad connection, but I can kind of hear you folks.
Yeah, I hear some static.
Yes.
It sounds like chipmunks or something.
Yeah, a little feedback on his end.
Did you even hear what I said? I don't know if you heard what I said, but
Can you hear?
Yeah.
64 boy.
Adjusting the culture, I'm adjusting the culture, huh? Adjusting the culture, I'm adjusting the culture, huh? Adjusting the culture, I'm adjusting the culture, huh? Adjusting the culture, I'm adjusting the culture. We gon' talk about it. Come adjust the culture, we gon' talk about it. Come adjust the culture.
Brick by brick, it gets your boy Big Wall.
And Pstock here, you know, for addressing the culture. It's that time.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Well, to follow up on what Darren's saying is, we met in 1984 when we were going to have a seminar with Guru Dan, but at the last moment he had to cancel. So Grandmaster Angel Cabal came to San Francisco in 1984, and that's how I met Darren and Sultan Uddin at the time. They both were the two students that Angel paid the most attention to, spent the most time with. That's what I saw through my observation. That's how I got to meet Darren. And then I got to meet Angel. And how I got referred to Angel was by Guru Tanya Lukai Lukai. Guru Tanya Subing Lukai Lukai is the granddaughter of Master Subing, who had his own style, because now we're bringing in names of masters from Hawaii. Years ago, in the 1800s and early 1900s, Filipinos were brought in as cheap labor. Let's just be real about this. That is why so many of the Filipinos in the Central Valley are connected to the UFW movement and Cesar Chavez. They used to bring them to Hawaii to pick pineapple and cut sugar cane because my ancestors were dying from the germs that and the diseases that were brought over by the foreigners. We were so germ-free in the islands of Hawaii that a lot of my ancestors died. So they lost their labor force. So they had to import labor. And one of the strongest groups they brought in were the Filipinos, the people that picked the pineapple and cut the sugar cane. If you've ever watched, since I grew up around the sugar towns and grew up around Filipino camps, what you would notice is how well the Filipinos cut the sugar cane. And then by living near the camps, I used to hear them warm up in the morning before they were going to go to the fields to cut the sugar cane. They would warm up with their blades. You could hear the sound, clink, clang, clink. And then they'd go out there and cut sugar cane for at least over 8 hours, probably 10 hours a day until the sun sets. So they practiced their art through their labor, as so did Angel and the Filipinos in Stockton, because a lot of the Filipino labor that was brought to Stockton, Central Valley, California, they brought from Hawaii to Central Valley. So all of this was during the time of when they, grapes of wrath and all that kind of stuff and cheap labor. And so even Angel himself picking asparagus, I know he practices art using his asparagus utensils. And the honor I had was I would always jump up and be his uke. So if you had ever experienced Angel's Dumak, his style of locks and takedowns, it's amazing how fast it's done. I mean, you don't even feel struggle, you don't even feel pain, but all of a sudden you're on the floor. And if you're in a screen door master like that, who always seems to have a dagger in his belt somewhere, that's an easy way as you're falling down to get stabbed to death, in a match or in a fight. So he's really good at that. My background comes because I'm from Hawaii. I started judo at 8 years old at Palama Settlement because my father was a juvenile detention home officer. When your family's in law enforcement, a majority of fathers send their sons to train in martial arts at a young age because you get known as a cop's son or, you're connected to law enforcement. It's really a hard life going through high school. So then you got to learn how to defend yourself and so on and so forth. But meeting Angel was the epitome of all of this. And to see what's happening with you folks on iHipHopTV and what Aluden 19, I got a shout out to him too, that we all see that same common purpose of really educating the world on what exactly Filipino martial arts is and is not. So looking at this event we're going to have this Saturday, December 4th in San Carlos, California at Twin Dragons Dojo. It's going to be another historical event. I mean, what everybody's got to realize, series, especially the legacies, those of you that have participated in these legacies, you folks are immortalized in those videos. Those videos will last beyond our lifetimes.
Yeah.
And it'll be a way of continuing to impress the younger generation. I mean, we're the older generation, and our obligation is to start leading them so that they can continue leading the rest. And as far as Angel's Disciples, you have Darren, his son Ches, well trained. If you have never seen his daughter, and she is really exceptional herself. And now we are watching the rise of his grandson and how he's over. I mean, his grandson started like 3 years old. We used to watch him come as a little child, with his grandmother, Darren's wife and stuff. And now, I mean, he could probably instruct most people in just the basic 12 angles. He's been that adept and receptive in learning and watching what his family and his grandfather is doing for family and Angel's Disciples. The Angel's Disciples is all about the legacy of Grandmaster Angel Cabales and perpetuating and continuing to instruct his art. But let's get to Darren's uncle. He was one of the first writers for Black Belt magazine. In fact, I'll name the art. He wrote the article on Yamaguchi, the Catman, the Goju master. Was a prisoner of war in China during the World War II, and where he probably used that cell that he was locked in to develop his art. One of his techniques was when you watch him demonstrate, he could run up a wall. In other words, you chase him towards the wall, he'd run up the wall and land behind you.
Yeah.
I don't like it in the movies, but it's not a stunt. I mean, Yamaguchi would actually do that stuff. So. And then there was a guy, I think it's Wataru, one of those other Rus from Okinawa. Well, Darren's blood uncle, Antonio Sonny Palabrica, would go and live with these masters and then write an article, and it would be presented in Black Belt magazine. The original founders of Black Belt magazine, I think they were all brothers. And I remember Bruce Lee writing, but his close friends there were my uncles, Tino Tuiolasenga, because I'm Samoan and Hawaiian. And so, like I said, Tino and my other uncle's a guy named Tiny Lafiti. Now, when they call him Tiny Lafiti, is because he was like 6'5", 270. They call him Tiny. So
I met him.
Uncle Tiny's coming.
I met him.
So what we tell people in Hawaii is when you hear somebody named Tiny or Shorty, look for the person. What? Look for the opposite of. If they go, hey, baby's coming, don't look for a small guy. The guy's going to probably be 3 times your size. That's why they call him baby.
Yeah.
That's how they do in Hawaii. We have our own patois, like the Jamaicans have. We have our own pidgin English that we use when we speak out there. But anyway, getting back to his uncle, Darren's uncle trained with Henry Okazaki, the famous jiu-jitsu man. That that trained in Hawaii and taught a famous instructor by the name of Wally J. That was Wally J's instructor. Tino Tuiolasenga was in the South. Edmund Parker was in the South. Tiny. That was like one of the centers of all the Hawaii martial artists was Los Angeles. And then up here in Northern California, around the Bay Area, was where all the Kajukembo masters that were trained by Adriano Di Emperado were up here at different schools: Tacascos, Habuna, Gaylord, Reyes, and Ramos. I had the privilege of living with Tony Ramos, Agung Ramos, for several years, but I never really trained in college. I had grown up in Hawaii, had learned everything about Nonoi, but I never got to go train. But the thing I always wanted to learn, and this is what Tanya Lukai and Ted Lukai provided me, was the opportunity to go learn from a real escrimador. I'm not putting down the other. Growing up in Hawaii, the screamer used to beat a lot of the other arts because Hawaii has Chinese, Koreans, Thai. You know, it's I call Hawaii baby Asia. They say, "Oh, you Hawaiians." No, the Asians outnumber all of us. There's hardly any Hawaiians. There's mostly Asians over there, and I myself, that bothered me too. You know, so a lot of people in Hawaii got Chinese mix, Japanese mix, name it. So behind the scenes, arts have a way, especially when men, men will be men. They'll challenge. And there were many rumors how many times FMA won and was on top of it.
Yeah.
So they actually, like, the Japanese school challenge and they lost. The Korean school challenge and they lost. But you got remember, most of the instructors of FMA, the masters like Godoy and Villabril, they were working the fields, man, just like Angel was. So, when you look at the level and the quality of the knowledge you're learning from these men and the occupations they had, you know what I mean? They were out there picking grapes.
Yeah.
That's why they were so strongly aligned with the UFW. And that's just what I like about Address the Culture. This is a place where we can speak the truth and not be run over by the corporate media.
Absolutely.
And there's truth that needs to be brought out even about martial arts. I mean, sometimes I think some of you other gentlemen would agree that there's just a little bit too much politics in Filipino martial arts. I believe, like the way Darren says and the way Angel says, the only way you're going to know who's who is you take it to the floor and then challenge. I mean, this is what the older screamadors would do. They would challenge each other's skills.
Address the culture there, man.
So then that way, what that does is that totally eliminates all the bragging and the loud talking, because when you're on the mat fighting, you got no time for conversation.
Yeah.
GM Darren always reminds us, the floor tells the truth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's a fact.
But all of this is possible because of Grandmaster Darren. I mean, I started with Angel as a beginner. I was connected to a man by the name of Anthony Davis, a.k.a. John Wong, a.k.a. GMD. And what we finally learned is that in a way, this mess. So I started with Darren again at Angle 1, and I now a qualified Angle 1 through 6 Angel's Disciple. And there's so much more ahead. You got to go through 1 through 12, learn 4 and then you go to advance. And believe me, it's not in progression. Serrata is not an art you can learn in 6 months.
No.
Yeah.
This is not, you're going to have to dedicate yourself and discipline yourself to learn, because it's the little intricate things within it. How to close the distance, how to set your body angle so that you can hit him but he cannot touch you. It's things like that. This is what Darren works on. And he loves to break down, just like Angel would do, break down the techniques, show you what it's made out of so that you could take it apart and use it yourself. Yeah. Angel was really a special teacher. And he wasn't a yeller. You know what I mean? He would talk to you. That's how you learn.
Yeah. That's dope. You guys speak so highly of him, you know what I mean? And it's dope that his legacy is just continuing through the event and through everybody that he affected. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
But we are grateful because, Darren thought about this and devised this concept. Now, many people that have been on the legacy have gone on where Val has helped them produce their own special series on their specific FMA style or, discipline. And so that's what the concept he told all of us. He says, the only way FMA to survive, we're going to have to start sharing and having and getting out there and promoting it. So people start understanding the depth of FMA. It's not just stick fighting.
Yeah.
But you learn so much, like the way when Guru Dan, because Grandmaster Casillas brought him up. Guru Dan had a way of helping you think of his concept about, okay, we got to break this down for people. That's what like Darren says. Guru Dan broke the barrier and brought the knowledge out. Because many times when I was growing up, Eskrima was a very well kept secret, only within the families. You know, people they know it wasn't. Oh man, it was secret, but you could only learn it in the backyard behind the banana trees. That kind of saying, because it was that secret, you know.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I just wanted to get some stuff out and realize that, and we really appreciate what you guys are doing on the Puiki Gray Art thing. I got to watch that. Because those are the kind of things that are going to happen when you got like a guy like Mark Zuckerberg trying to buy the whole. I mean, if you properties he's been purchased, he's almost purchased a whole coastline of the island of Kauai.
Yeah.
And so we got a very separated. So Rich and the rest of us are got to work.
Yeah.
So thank you, iHipHopTV. Thank you, Grandmaster Darren. Thank you, Aluda 19, man. Because, I mean, I used to watch these guys train. And like I said, and those of you that know him and know Darren, you guys know how well they were trained.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I seen Grandmaster
I saw
Aladdin
footage on Mortal Kombat, and that was an impeccable capoeira display of fighting.
Yeah.
I said, damn, I forgot. Dean trained. Yeah, he did. He trained in capoeira, and then he shows it in the movie. And those kicks were devastating in that movie.
Yeah.
So thank you, iHipHopTV, and I hope I contributed to something today.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you, Grandmaster.
Well.
Thank you, Mateo, Grandmaster Felix, Mr. Pintados Gartucci. I really like the way you said that. Thank you, Grandmaster Graciela Casillas. Thank you, Big Wall, and thank you, Pstock.
No problem, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Brother Tasialo.
Thank
you.
That's great. And that's what we appreciate it. And everyone brings something to the table, and the FMA lives on, and it will continue to live on, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, it will. And since I got all of you guys on the platform, you know what I mean? I wanted to ask you guys a question. Now, it's so many different arts and different styles. And it was once said that Bruce Lee, he made a comment that Kung Fu is the art of fighting without fighting. You know what I mean? And that always, I always wanted to kind of understand, what do you think he meant by that? Because a lot of people take that different ways. So I want to get some experts' idea of what you guys think that Bruce meant by that legendary comment.
Well, watching, I believe it's Enter the Dragon, when he's on that boat with the rowdy karate guy, and Bruce says, "Let's go to the island."
Yeah.
Go ahead, get on the boat. We'll go to that island and we'll challenge.
Yeah.
Well, he got the guy in the boat first, let the rope out, and then tied it up and let the kids that he was abusive to hold the rope. So I believe that's the art of fighting without fighting.
Yeah.
You got to outsmart your people. And, you know, those of us that have came up early on, you know, as young martial artists growing into martial arts, you know, you're always going to have people ridicule you or try to defame your character and your reputation. Let's just say the art of fighting without fighting can be success in itself. And I believe that's the art of fighting without fighting. True success. Touching people, teaching people how to save your lives, okay? Especially the young. Teaching the young kids to save their lives, you know? And getting back at that is, I've taught a lot of young kids. I taught a lot of young kids that when they got up into high school and then there's gangs and they've been attacked by baseball bats, and they come into the school and they tell me, "Uncle Darren, I want to thank you." What do you want to thank me for? Me and my friends were at a bus stop and a carload of guys jumped out with bats and they start beating up all the Asians. And a couple of my friends are in the hospital. But off of what you taught me, I disarmed one of them But now I'm going to court because when I disarmed them, I hit them in the head with the bat, then I hit one or two other guys with the bat to stop them. I still want to thank you for giving me that knowledge, because if you didn't, I think I'd probably be dead, Uncle Darren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, being a teacher, and I'm sure a lot of us teachers can relate to what my student had shared with me. This is what we do. We share skill. We share the FMA, with a lot of the young and a lot of the people in police force, such as Pitaro Garducci, who is a police officer, and to protect other police officers, or innocent victims out on the street, or just young kids trying to walk home from school and getting jumped by, gangs. Just trying to take them out, maybe for what they're wearing, the color they're wearing, or what race they are. But bottom line, we're reaching out and we're doing good for people. And that's what's important about FMA today, is sharing it to help people protect themselves for the good of humanity. But anyway, thank you, Big Wall, Pstock. Thank you all on this panel for being a part of this great show.
Yes.
Thank you all. Thank you. And a big shout out to Luda 19, Brother Sultanuddin, for help creating this opportunity for Legacy 8.
That's
Absolutely.
right. Thank you. Big shout out, Grandmaster Aladdin.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we appreciate y'all. And we definitely want to follow up after the Legacy 8 and continue to help elevate the FMA, to the levels that everybody is looking at MMA and UFC, to bring that to the forefront of the martial arts field as well.
Yes.
In that whole genre.
Absolutely.
Thank
and we really want to thank all of you guys for coming through. We're personally going to invite each of you guys to come through to tell your own personal stories.
Yes.
Because all of you guys are legendary, and our community definitely want to hear your individual stories and go into a little detail, a little bit more in depth about your journeys. You know what I mean? Because it's amazing. We love the community.
It's motivational.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yes. So we want to thank you guys for coming through. You know what I mean? Giving us the knowledge. The event is 5 days away, and we are looking forward to it. We're going to have a recap after the event right here, so you guys can come back through and tell us your experiences and how it was and everything. You know what I mean? So again, we want to thank you guys for coming through to address the culture.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Absolutely. So we're gonna let you guys go.
Thank you. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jim Graciela, Tatiano, Pitaro Sarducci, Jim Felix, Mateo. Thank you for coming on board for the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Peace and blessings.
Pstock. Big Wall.
Peace and blessings. All right.
You guys have a good night. Thank you again.
Have a great one.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Pstock. Now, when we talk about legends and just a legendary movement, when you talk about FMA, man, it gets no bigger. It gets no bigger, brother.
No,
you know what I'm talking about when we talk about the culture and the history. You know what I mean?
The top of it, we for these 3 episodes, we've embodied, different masters and grandmasters that are all have FMA incorporated into their systems or was trained by FMA grandmasters and then took on other disciplines within that FMA system and created a system, and that's a big shout out, big shout out to the Budo brothers for keeping it on tape for the Angels Disciples of Stockton, Darren Tabone's organization. And those are some great scenes and shots from the legacies. And if you haven't seen them, go on YouTube and check them out. It's great scenery. They're on Hawaii. I think that was Legacy 7. They were in Hawaii, and it was great. It was real scenic. You can see the instructions. You can see all the different masters and grandmasters. Just like we heard, they never stop learning. You never stop learning.
Yeah.
You know, you never stop training. So, and big shout out to Aladdin 19. You know, this is big to tie this in. But can you imagine, Big Wall, that they have a stick fighting like they have MMA fights? Can you imagine seeing that? I mean, I've been to Thailand and places, and they had clubs. Like you go to the club, you at the club. Well, in the center of the club is a ring.
There's a ring, yeah.
And they got a house champion in there that if you think you want to, you can jump up in there and go around the two with this champion. So
how many movies have we seen like that? That's doing that exact culture, like you say, fighting in these clubs and doing these things. It's you know what I mean? And look, one of the grandmasters actually said they use a sticks 33 inches.
33 inches long,
inches.
Yeah,
like,
24
come on,
inches.
Man. Yeah.
There's different disciplines and different, you know, I guess from different grandmasters. And I would take it from different parts of the Philippines, you know, different islands for different uses. And like he said, they was using those sticks against the samurai swords.
Yeah.
And they were winning.
And they were winning against blades.
They were
because
winning.
Of the technique and the style. You know what I mean?
They were winning.
Yeah.
You know, the angles. Like Grandmaster Castilius was talking about, and all of us was talking about the angles. It seems like the FMA, they bring the angles to the with the style, you know, with the style of fighting and have the footwork, you know, and that's why I said I know it was one of those things. That's why before all the episodes for this, I run because this is the Legacy 8, and Ango Cabales is in that opening scene that we run with Grandmaster Sultan Adine. So you got the great Grandmaster and the Grandmaster that goes on, and that's huge, and that's the way we want to put it. So we capture that footage and spread it out to everybody else. So there's always a digital file because they said there wasn't much footage on.
And so a level of respect as well. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Great level of respect.
Absolutely.
Great level of respect.
Absolutely.
So so we can't wait to see what's up. I guess whenever we ever in the company, I guess we get some free instructions.
I can't wait. I can't wait, P. You know what I'm talking about?
To learn something. You know, when you think back on it, I think there was a Rambo where he was stick fighting in some place. One of them Rambo movies in the beginning when they went and found him, he was out there stick fighting. So you know, so the culture, it's been mainstreamed, and like they said with Grandmaster Sultan Adine taking it into the Mortal Kombat, into the gaming through Mortal Kombat, into that franchise. So that puts the FMA up there because the fan, the woman, like the fighter, I can't think of her name.
Melina,
Katana. The fan thing that comes from FMA. Choreographed by Grandmaster Sultan Adine. So, you know, so it's there. It's mainstream. It's just to take it again to the next level and keep it because, hey, when you get older, you don't want to use your hands, you know, as much because you beat your hands up. So I can deal with rolling up a magazine and myself or having, like I said, when I was a kid, they would give us nunchucks, you know, when we was growing up, when we used to studying martial arts, I used to cut them in half. I used to like the nunchucks as two separate sticks, you know, and keep them in my back, you know, just like they said, hide them right in your back. Nobody could see them.
Absolutely. And like you spoke about it, mainstream and taking it to another level. At one point, they didn't even want their knowledge to be televised. Like he said, in order to find this, you have to go behind the banana tree in the back. You know what I'm talking about? And now they realize that in order to continue their legacy, instead of just on a face-to-face or hand-to-hand basis, you got to do the YouTube videos. You got to put it out there and do these events like the legacy to spread it and gain more traction. And it seems like they're willing to do it, and it's just taking it to another level.
And that's what it's doing, you know, and that's what it has done. Because, you know, a lot of these masters, they have students that are celebrities and, kids of celebrities and what have you, and just other, martial artists that want to learn that discipline, that want to learn FMA, that want to learn that stuff. But the blade fighting, and just to think that system, you have the sticks, you have the open hand, and you have the blades and knives. So you're pretty much trained that you can take two pencils and take somebody out of here real quick.
Absolutely.
Two number twos. That's it.
You spoke on it, but you remember in part 2 where it was like, hey, we take a rolled up newspaper and beat the brakes off you. You know what I'm talking about? Rolled up magazine. So it really don't even matter. You know what I'm talking about?
No. No. And those sticks are hard. When I met with when we met with Grandmaster Aladdin in New York, and he had the sticks, man. Those sticks are serious.
Yeah.
They're not real big and thin, but boy, I mean, those things will break your bone.
Oh man, especially when you swinging it with speed and angle and with
power.
With power with a snap behind it. Oh yeah, it's problems.
Yeah, you taking limbs off with
that. Yeah.
So I mean, you beating limbs off, but so it's great, and that's a great series to bring to the culture, to address the culture, and the even and Big Walls were spin the block on, and they'll be back. They'll be back again, and we'll have some others. Let's address the culture. Let's get in, to all aspects of it and everything to tie it in. And what I want to say before we go on to it, I caught. I don't know if you've seen it, but Raekwon was on CBS this morning. He did an extensive interview over the weekend on one of the CBS Saturday morning shows, and they was talking about the Wu-Tang connection and about coming back and doing strike. A lot of people relate the Wu-Tang to the kung fu and everything from the music.
Absolutely.
So a lot of us grew up.
I think that whole industry took Wu-Tang global by them tapping into the Kung Fu, the FMA, like it took them global. Yeah.
It took them global. Them global. And because by branding with it and doing movies with it and incorporating to their music and songs and their lyrics, 36 Chambers,
Come on, man.
Hey, it's classics, that. So I think that continues. So I think hip hop and martial arts have its lane together. That's they're in a juxtaposition, traveling that one feeds on the other.
Absolutely.
One pushes the other up, keeps pushing each other up.
That's dope, and that's what's so special about the culture. You know what I mean? That hip hop can do that for not only FMA, Kung Fu, it do it for basketball, it do it for football, it do it for graffiti, it do it for paint, dancing,
art, dancing, everything.
It's one of those things that gravitate other cultures and elevate it. You know what I mean? And that's why you have the correlation with Wu-Tang and hip hop, with the fighting and the mixed martial art and the MMA and the boxing, everything. It's just one of those things that people gravitate to,
Transcends it all.
Absolutely.
And in doing that and being so, it takes it to that level where, that everybody, like hip hop was, take something that wasn't yours and make it yours.
Address the culture.
Make it a part of your own. That's the true hip hop. That's where hip hop was founded of, with the break beats and spinning the records, and everything. So you was taking something and making it your own. And that's the way a lot of the martial arts styles appears, like some of the systems, they take a little bit of that and a little bit of that and mesh them together and make it their own.
And create their own style.
And create their own style. So and then that's what the culture, with the hip hop culture, where now everybody else takes a part of that and makes it their own. They're putting their own spins on it, across the board with all cultures. For if it's not Asian or European, African, Hispanic, everybody has their little hip hop culture that they took and spun it into their own. And we continue to address the culture and address societies with our culture.
Yeah.
You know, as we move forward.
Yeah.
You know? So
absolutely.
that's big. That's big.
It's huge. You know what I mean? As Pete say, you know what I mean? And that's what we're going to continue to do. It's huge. You know, we are going to continue to address the culture in so many different ways because everything is a culture. And we're going to talk about it. You know what I mean? We here with our third installment of this dope, amazing art form that we are so happy to bring, you know, to our audience, as well as bring it to those who know and some that might not know. And that's what we are going to do. We are going to spark the minds of those who really want to understand different cultures and are willing and ready to address it. Because that's
embrace
what we're here to do.
Embrace it, learn, and address it.
Yes.
Beautiful thing.
In that order. You know what I mean? So we're going to be back after the event in 5 days. Legacy 8. 5 days. You know what I mean?
Legacy 8.
Yes.
Legacy 8 Twin Dragons Kung Fu Academy in San Carlos, California. You know, you got to get there. If you're in the area, get there because you'll never get this type of instruction anywhere else unless you reach the legacies.
Yeah.
With this many different grandmasters and masters coming together, you know, from all styles. You heard him. He invited
in one area. It don't happen. It don't.
It don't.
It don't.
And we're glad that Address the Culture, iHipHopTV, Big Wall, and Pstock can be a part of it.
Absolutely. So, you know, like we always say, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know how you feel. If you have any questions, anything you want us to ask the Grandmasters, or anything you want us to talk about, let us know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let us know. Definitely let us know. And let us know what you want to hear to come. You know, if there's something, a topic that you're not clear of and you want clarity on, let us know. And we'll bring the people on to go into it for you and address the culture on that topic.
Yeah, what he said, because when you speak, we speak back. You already know the vibes. Until next time, it's your boy Big Wall.
Your man Pstock right here, y'all.
And this is Address the Culture. And like I always say, your culture makes you who you are. So make sure they respect it. We're going to catch you on the next episode. We up out of here.
Peace.
Out on hiphoptv.com on YouTube. Shit is fire. Check out iHipHopTV.com on YouTube.
Dressing the culture.